Welcome to The Explainer. Today we're diving into a situation that's honestly equal parts geopolitical thriller, high-stakes finance, and absolutely cutting-edge AI. You see, right now, the North American commercial waste industry is caught in a pretty chaotic crossfire. On one side, you have Ottawa navigating this massive political realignment, and on the other side, Washington is throwing up unprecedented tariff walls. For C-suite executives and commercial haulers right here in Ontario, well, this isn't just political theater anymore. It's an urgent, literal, existential financial choice. You either adapt or your margins get absolutely crushed. So let's look at exactly how to navigate this chaos using a highly lucrative, entirely local technological solution. Okay, let's dive into this because this number on the screen is the beating heart of the absurdity we're dealing with. Right now, as we speak, 3.46 million tons of Canadian municipal solid waste rolls down the I-75 into Michigan every single year. Let that sink in. That is a staggering 14.35% of all the waste buried in the entire state of Michigan. Why on earth are we doing this? Simply put, because the alternative is lining up at Toronto depots and paying $176.39 Canadian per ton. But here's the catch. As those border walls rise, this massive daily export pipeline has suddenly morphed from a highly profitable release valve into a monumental liability. To unpack exactly how we translate this cross-border trash politics straight into cold, hard loonies, we're going to follow a precise six-part roadmap today. 1. The 2026 geopolitical waste crisis. 2. The regulatory pincer trap. 3. 905 Wood, the sentient bridge. 4. Inside the digital refinery. 5. The tech to loonies math. And finally, 6. Decoupled billing and yields. Let's start right at the top with Section 1, the 2026 geopolitical waste crisis. We are operating in a macroeconomic landscape where waste has literally been weaponized. Just impartially looking at the board here, domestically, Ontario has pushed through Doug Ford's Bill 5 to bypass traditional roadblocks for emergency landfill sites, while Washington is heavily leaning into rising protectionism, and the ticking clock of 2026 is relentless. In January, we see the blue box collapse. By April, the regulatory shifts with OREG 347 and Bill 5 kick in. Then we hit the July 24th Section 122 cliff. But the absolutely critical deadline you need to circle on your calendar is August 19th. If your wood waste crosses that border misclassified after that date, you aren't just facing standard fees. No way. You are walking blindly into 35% U.S. tariffs under HS Code 3825.10, massive 40% de minimis transshipment penalties, and a severe 50% duty on finished wood. It's a complete financial buzzsaw. And this brilliantly illustrates exactly why the trucks just keep rolling despite those massive geopolitical risks. Just look at this extreme economic arbitrage. The baseline tipping fee floor right now in the Greater Toronto area is a punishing $189.86 Canadian per ton. Right across the border, the Michigan tipping fee is an almost comical 36 cents US per ton. Even if Michigan Governor Gretchen Whitmer succeeds in her current proposal to hike that state fee to $5, the delta is still so massive that the diesel fuel for the 5-hour drive is basically a rounding error on the balance sheet. Simply put, the money moves the trucks. Moving into Section 2, the regulatory pincer track. But you see, the U.S. border is really only half the problem. Internally, Queen's Park is squeezing haulers because Ontario is rapidly approaching the 2034 capacity cliff. That's when our permitted domestic landfills hit absolute geologic exhaustion, zero space left. So, to artificially preserve space, the province enforces a brutal legal mechanism tucked inside Ontario Regulation 347 known as the derived from rule. It dictates that any commercial waste stream is legally presumed to be hazardous until you, the generator, can explicitly prove otherwise. It is literally a guilty until proven clean legal trap. If you can't actively intercept and verify that material on site, you're forced into incredibly expensive mixed waste logistics by default. And actually proving it clean? Well, that's a total nightmare. Schedule 4 of OREG 347 mandates strict toxicity characteristic leaching procedure, or TCLP, thresholds. If your dumpster has even a trace of weathered gray pine hiding chromated copper arsenate, CCA treatment, you will instantly trip the absolute limits. 2.5 milligrams per liter for arsenic, 5.0 for lead, or 5.0 for chromium. Human classifiers literally cannot see these chemicals under surface oxidation. And just one bad deck board triggers an automatic rejection of the entire load. This creates an absolutely urgent financial need for on-site machine-level AI triage. Which brings us to Section 3, 905 Wood, the sentient bridge. Enter the solution. Michael Atkinson's 905 Wood Digital Refinery. We position this as the indispensable sentient bridge that connects chaotic, contaminated construction waste with the ultra-pure requirements of the global biocarbon market. And the hardware foundation making this possible is a true Tier 1 edge compute stack. We are talking about deploying the Google Pixel 11 Pro, powered by the Tensor G6 chip. Running Android 17, turbo quant compression, and the Light-RT AI stack, this pocket-sized device functions as a 24/7 compliance officer. It operates directly at the bin, processing in under 500 milliseconds. It requires zero cloud connection, and unlike human classifiers, it suffers absolutely zero operational fatigue, and it certainly won't file a WSIB claim when it encounters arsenic. And the software running on this hardware is just incredible. It's a frontier multi-model pipeline utilizing what's called a Model Council consensus stack to evaluate feedstock purity. Think of it like a board of directors for your trash. We're looking at a simultaneous combination of Gemini 3.6 Pro, Gemini 3.5 Flash, Claude Opus 4.8, Claude Sonnet 4.6, and GPT-OSS 120B. When a load falls into a 70 to 85% amber band of uncertainty, this entire council adjudicates the decision to eliminate any chance of AI hallucinations. Crucially, this whole orchestration is managed by Google Gemini Vertex AI pipelines, with all the data permanently sealed in AlloyDB located in Montreal to maintain strict PPI-DA compliance. Together, this creates what 905 Way calls explainable compliance. All right, Section 4, Inside the Digital Refinery. Let's move to and see how this builds into an actual workflow on a muddy, chaotic construction site. It's shockingly simple for the operator. Step 1. The truck driver initiates a 2-second multimodal intake, capturing high-resolution frames of the pile. Step 2. The AI triage and verification gate instantly checks for that OREG 347 toxicity we talked about. Step 3, the density engineering engine calculates the precise payload. And finally, Step 4, and this is the absolute magic step, the driver physically holds a button on the high-contrast pixel screen for 2 seconds. That action triggers the phone's internal Titan M2 secure element to execute a cryptographic hold to seal. It mathematically locks the GPS coordinates, the model kernel hash, and the exact timestamp into an unalterable, court-admissible envelope. Now, behind that very simple smartphone interface is a massive enterprise logistics integration running the show. The platform automates requests for quote to lock in contract rates well before those August duties hit. It manages sophisticated producer-operator profiles and optimizes Ontario transportation insurance. But maybe most importantly, it actively mitigates failure risks. For instance, if the platform is navigating a red, overdue QLoris Stage 3 fine-tuning task, which basically means the AI model is still actively learning a new type of material, the system conservatively falls back to standard book value carbon pricing until human-in-the-loop consensus unlocks the dynamic spot premium pricing. It literally protects your downside automatically. Let's get into the financials in Section 5, the tech to loonies math. Look, all of this edge AI exists for one reason and one reason only: to translate technical capability into hard Canadian dollars and massively expand your local margins. Let's look at the immediate cost avoidance. Ontario applies a circle levy to actively discourage landfilling. If you send unverified mixed waste, you are slammed with a steep $60 per ton penalty. But if your load is AI verified as clean wood by the Digital Refinery, that levy drops down to a mere $5 a ton. On a single 144-yard walking floor mothership carrying 19.15 net tons, that classification secures an immediate, verifiable savings of $1,053.23 Canadian per load. Let me put that in perspective for you. If your fleet runs 200 loads a week, that is nearly $11 million annually in pure levy avoidance. But honestly, cost avoidance is just the beginning. This is really about asset generation, because that diverted, verified clean wood doesn't go to a landfill. It gets specifically routed to the Char Technologies Thorold Biohub for high-temperature pyrolysis. The carbon math here is beautiful, and it's highly predictable. Every 19.15 net tons of clean wood in that mothership physically yields exactly 14.36 tons of CO2 equivalent when it's converted into stable pyrogenic biocarbon solid. And what exactly is that CO2 equivalent worth to you? Well, when that feedstock is meticulously audited and validated under the Opron scientific workspace to qualify for premium measurement, reporting, and verification tiers, the value of those carbon dividends, or quarks, absolutely skyrockets.
A single mothership can secure up to 7,660 Canadian dollars in retained carbon dividends at spot high market rates. So when you combine the levy avoidance and the carbon yield, 905 Wood delivers a massive net swing of positive $571.39 Canadian per ton, going directly back to your balance sheet.
Finally, let's wrap up with Section 6, decoupled billing and yields. So, how do you actually extract all that value without completely burying your accounting department in regulatory paperwork? To isolate this massive value spread, the platform implements a beautifully transparent, Layer 4 striped decoupled billing architecture. It generates a clean, readable 7-line invoice. You see the locked base logistics rate, the net weight, the transparent $5 circle levy pass-through, the diversion pass, carrier dispatch, and the heavily tracked fuel surcharge. But line 7 is the absolute key: the retained carbon dividend. This is explicitly labeled as retained by 905 Wood, which completely funds the capital cost of the L1 Edge AI hardware while simultaneously delivering that massive net savings straight back to the contractor. And while that's happening, the reporting.905wood.com subdomain goes to work compiling an unalterable, court-admissible audit ledger. Out comes the complete compliance package: your certificate of origin PDF, your verification PDF, your compliance PDF, and autonomous RPRA API electronic manifests. All of it is instantly accessible via QR codes backed by GPS cryptographic hashing. It ensures Ministry of the Environment inspectors have a mathematically proven, bulletproof history of every single wood fiber in that load. So, the crucial point is this powerful statement right here. That reporting engine outputs a 9-point USMCA Shield Certificate of Origin. It legally and cryptographically certifies the wood waste as wholly obtained in Canada. This document is quite literally the only golden ticket that legally shifts your load from the penalized HS code 3825.10 directly into the tariff-exempt HS code 3825.0. It acts as a digital force field that allows your trucks to completely bypass those crushing 50% duties hitting on August 19th. Which leaves us with a very stark, binary choice for the future of commercial waste in Ontario. The era of cheap, passive disposal? That's completely over. So I leave you with this thought. As the 2034 capacity cliff races toward us, will your logistics remain blindly trapped behind protectionist 50% tariff walls and crushing domestic levies, or will you actively dematerialize your waste into verified assets by crossing the sentient bridge? For the C-suite, it's honestly the only question that matters today. Thanks for joining me on this explainer. I hope this deep dive helps you and your teams navigate the chaos ahead.